If your attention were a currency, would you be happy with the way you spend it on a daily basis? Nobody's comfortable giving their money out to anyone who asks, but so many of us allow our attention to be scattered and burned on things we don't care about. The world we live in today is filled with people, brands, and platforms vying for your time and attention. And if you don't have a plan for what you'll spend it on, your attention will be taken away from you. This is why Nir Eyal wrote his latest book, Indistractable. In it, he explains the nature of distraction and how the ability to overcome it is quickly becoming one of the most important skills of our time. Nir tells us that all distraction comes from our attempt to relieve discomfort. Your phone beeps, you crave the relief of knowing why, you check it, and your train of thought is derailed. While most people blame technology for their distracted lives, there are in fact a number of internal triggers like negative emotions that lead to distraction. Uncertainty, boredom, and stress will often create the sort of discomfort that pushes us to switch tasks, go make a cup of coffee, or check our emails. So how can we rein in our attention and get better at finishing the things we start? First, some semantics. Nir says that the opposite of distraction isn't focus. In fact, it's traction, the ability to do the things we say we want to get done. The truth is, most things are a lot easier said than done. Execution is hard, sometimes mind-numbingly boring, and other times extremely frustrating. So how do we break through this internal resistance? Nir outlines a strategy for gaining traction in our lives and doing the things we want to do in the following 4 steps. 1. Master internal triggers. 2. Make time for traction. 3. Hack back external triggers. And 4. Make pacts. To master internal triggers, we need to reimagine the task, reimagine the trigger, and reimagine the temperament. Core strategies for reimagining the trigger are actively engaging with the uncomfortable emotion. Here we write it down, reflect on, and feel the sensations with interest and curiosity as opposed to judgment. We can also use the 10-minute rule, which is based on research findings that most urges don't last more than 10 minutes. So you say to yourself, it's fine to give in, to check Facebook, for example, just not right now, and you stick to what you're doing for 10 minutes. Strategies for reimagining the task include using play to make the task a game, adding constraints like time limits or other random rules, and getting intensely curious about the thing you're doing and all the elements involved in it. Boredom can't exist around curiosity. Then there's reimagining our temperament. This is all about our self-talk. If you've ever heard someone say something along the lines of, well, I'm just not good with numbers, you'll recognize that even if this were true, it doesn't serve them in any way. To this point, studies have demonstrated that only those who believe that they have a finite amount of self-control or willpower available to use throughout the day will run out of it. Once we've mastered our internal triggers, we can move on to making time for traction. This is all about deciding what's important to you and prioritizing those things in your daily life, being more intentional about how you spend your time, what you work on, who you spend your time with, and then actively scheduling time for these things and people in your calendar. After making time for traction, we need to hack back external triggers. Here, we're trying to protect our attention from other people. Nir shares the story of how in many hospitals, thousands of patients were getting the wrong medication as a result of nurses who handed them out being interrupted. In an attempt to solve this, Becky Richards ran an experiment at the Kaiser Permanente Medical Center in which she had nurses wear colored vests when they were preparing meds so everyone knew not to interrupt them. After around just 4 months, errors were reduced by 40%. We can implement a similar strategy at home or work by putting up some sort of sign that communicates to others that what we're doing is important work and we don't want to be interrupted. Nir talks about making certain time for emails and not answering all emails immediately. He recommends scheduling time for group chats as opposed to having apps like Slack open all the time. Recommends disabling phone notifications, removing apps that waste your time. He suggests teams brainstorm before meetings and always have a tight agenda. All these things set the stage and prime your environment for focus. The last step to creating traction is pacts. Pacts are pre-commitments that you make to remove the future element of choice and overcome your impulsive actions. 3 of the most useful types of pacts are effort pacts, where you create friction around the things you don't want to do, price pacts, where you commit to paying a fine when you don't do the thing, and identity pacts, in which you demonstrate to yourself that you're the sort of person who does the sorts of things you want to do. Okay, so those are the key takeaways that I got from the book. If you'd like a 1-page summary of Indistractable, let me know in the comments and I'll send it over. Otherwise, I hope this helps. Cheers.